Hello and welcome. My name is Juhili Arvind Sawant and my thesis topic is intergenerational care home, that is a care home and residential facility for elders and children. I will start my presentation now. During the research stage, it was evident that both elders and children require same type of services and their needs and requirements are pretty much similar. Therefore, it is very viable and economical to have such a kind of facility where both the age groups can live together under the same roof. Therefore, my main objective was to create an interactive platform for elders and children, a space which is not only a shelter for them but also a space which would help them to learn and grow. In the initial stage, I did a few case studies to understand the working of such shelters and the requirement of the spaces, out of which Manav Seva Sangha Sayan and Ayudham Society in Delhi are only facilities which caters to children and elders both. SOS Children's Village Pune had well designed and well connected spaces, and the net case study done on the Municipal Orphanage Amsterdam actually helped in understanding the quality of spaces required for children to grow and learn. The main takeaway from these case studies was about the residential units. In all the case studies, it was proved that for children, there should be dormitories for living with around 8 to 10 children living in a single unit, and for elders, there should be separate rooms with some common interactive spaces. It's also important that the residential units of both the age groups to be segregated from each other, yet to have some common grounds where both elders and children can access community spaces and common gathering spaces. I also studied the routine of children and elders living in such facilities to understand their time schedule and when they can spend time together. The main design program is divided into three categories, that is common activities, activities for children and activities for elders. The design project is such that both the user groups are separate but are still connected to each other through interactive activities. Also, neighboring communities can also participate in the common activities. Coming to the site selection process, the site which I selected for this project is in Pune village Khandala, which is very close to Mumbai-Pune Expressway. This site is very well connected from Mumbai-Pune Expressway and Khandala railway station. Therefore, connectivity is not an issue here. The site is actually in middle of two major cities which are Mumbai and Pune. Therefore, this project caters to these two major cities. The site area is around 11.40 acres, out of which 4 acres is kept for future expansion. These are the few images of the site and a route map showing the connectivity of these cities. The first image here explains the site area and its surroundings, and the second image explains the sun path analysis and wind analysis on the site. The site falls under warm and humid climatic zone. This diagram of SWOT analysis is to explain the strength and weakness of the site. The major strength is that it is very well connected by all means of transport by two major cities, therefore act as a central point. Also, all the amenities fall between the range of 3 to 4 kilometers. Being situated just outside the main city is the key weakness. Also, it offers very interesting views all around. There is a huge scope of future development in the neighboring area. This slide explains the existing site sections. It can be seen there are no major slopes or contours, and also there are very few vegetations in and around the site. The site is divided in such a way that because of the existing road, the main entry and exit is kept on the east side of the site. Also, the vehicular circulation is restricted towards the main entry and exit, which is shown by number 1. This makes rest of the site pedestrian, which will be very safe for elders and children. The highlighted part in yellow color shows the parking area on the site. This parking area is mainly for the staff members and few are for the visitors. There is another entry given as service entry close to the kitchen area, which is shown by number 9. The red line indicates the movement of the vehicles from entering to the site to dropping off someone and then exit or parking the vehicle in the parking area. Blue line shows the movement of the service vehicle. Except the entrance part, rest of the site is kept vehicle free so that children and elders can roam around freely and spend their time the way they want. Number 0 here indicates the children's play area, which has basketball court, football court, a ground and a park where they can play. Sufficient amount of playground spaces are provided for children. Number 3 is for the main entrance into the project, which is a semi-open structure. Number 5 shows the central courtyard, which has a big amphitheater for all the functions and programs that are usually held in such facilities, which is shown by number 4. This courtyard is the heart of the campus. Number 6 and number 7 shows the parks and outside sitting spaces which are designed in such a way that they are facing away from the structure and are surrounded by the vegetation around to give that person a peace of mind and some privacy. These spaces are mainly designed for elders since they prefer alone time and quiet. This landscape and outdoor sports area seamlessly integrate with the building. Number 8 here shows the connecting bridge which is there on the first and the second floor. It also gives the required enclosure to the structure. View from A shows the aerial view of the entire structure and view from B shows a part of the park. This slide explains the ground floor plan with surrounding context. Initially, I divided the site into 3 zones as private, semi-private and public zone. But in the later stage, I understood it's better to do the zoning vertically rather than horizontally. Therefore, here we can see in the vertical zoning diagram that the entire ground floor is kept as community space, which is a combination of public and semi-public zones, whereas entire upper floors are kept private zones. Therefore, elders and children can have their own privacy. At the same time, they can interact with others and participate in the various activities on the ground floor. On the upper floor, the first floor is entirely for the elders, whereas the second floor is for the children, which are further divided into residential units and activity units for the respective age groups. Since the ground floor is completely for a community space, it includes various spaces which are not only for the user group but also for the neighboring community. In that way, this project is not only beneficial to the user group but also to the surrounding community. Even though the activity spaces are closed spaces, there is a huge veranda running throughout the structure which gives an openness to it. Therefore, the entire structure is kind of semi-open space with lots of interactive activity. The letter A here indicates the main entrance with dining area and exhibition space on its either side, shown by B and C respectively. Since there are workshops and vocational training spaces provided, the exhibition space acts as the integral part which can generate revenue for the entire project. The dining area is common for elders as well as children, therefore it is combination of different types of seatings which can be used by both the age groups. Adjacent to the dining area is multi-purpose hall / auditorium which can be used for the functions or seminars for the neighboring community as well. It has its separate entry and sufficient amount of seatings if any seminar is to be conducted for the user group. Adjacent to the multi-purpose hall, there is administration unit on the ground floor itself. In that way, the admin people can monitor and supervise all the activities going on in the campus all the time. It is indicated by the letter F. There is also a primary healthcare unit provided on the ground floor which is not only for the users but also for the outside people in case of emergency. It has its different entry for emergency along with its medical and other necessary facilities. On the west part of the site, at the far end, there are workshops and vocational training rooms provided along with semi-open stilt area. Therefore, the workshops can be done either in the classrooms or in the semi-open stilt area according to the need. The letters J and K indicates the workshops and vocational training classes. There are also reading rooms and family visiting rooms provided on the ground floor which are shown as G and H respectively. Semi-open stilt area near the classrooms gives openness to the structure which then allows the free flow of the air throughout the spaces. Spaces highlighted in red color indicate service core with vertical transportation modes which include staircase and lifts for elders. The arrow in red shows the ramp going up from ground floor till second floor. In the center, there is a huge open space with amphitheater in the middle which act as an interactive space for the user group. In this way, all the activities that are happening on the ground floor does not disturb the privacy of the upper floor. This is the exploded view of the ground floor showing the arrangement of spaces which I talked about. This is a blown up drawing of the exhibition space which is a complete open space with columns in between and can be used according to the need of the user. Whereas dining area along with common dining spaces also has special seatings for the times when visitors or the family members of the users visit the facility. This is the blown up drawing of the auditorium and its sitting arrangements having a separate exit. View from the letter D shows the view of the connecting bridge from the amphitheater and the feeling of closeness it brings to the structure. These are the detailed plans of the primary healthcare unit and the administration unit. Since the entrance part is of double height of 6.5 meter, therefore both these programs have mezzanine floor in between, since they don't require such a huge double height spaces. This is the blown up drawing of the stilt area with workshops and vocational training rooms. The view from the point E shows the interesting play of daylight created in the stilt area by the louvers on the either side of the structures. As I said earlier, the first floor is completely for elders. It consists of residential units for them on the rear end of the site and common activities and common spaces for elders above the main entrance. There is also a level difference between the activity space and the residential space. The residential units are placed in such a way that there are common spaces in between. The level difference between the different activities provide the privacy that is needed for such units. Activity space for elders include TV room, library and computer lab, gymnasium and physiotherapy, music room, family meeting room, etc. All these spaces are adjoining to the veranda, which is overlooking the central courtyard, which makes it easier to supervise the users all the time. Also, there is connecting bridge shown by the letter C, which connects two different parts of residential units to each other, which also overlooks the central open space. View F shows the view from the connecting bridge overlooking the courtyard. The exploded view here is of the first floor, explaining all the spaces and their arrangement. Above the residential units of the elders, there are residential units of children, which are mainly dormitories consisting of 8 to 10 children in a single dorm. Similarly, there are activities provided which are only for children, which consist of TV room separate for boys and girls, arts and craft room with indoor games room, music room and dance room, and mainly classrooms and study rooms. Here, the two wings are necessary to separate boys' residential units from girls' residential units. Therefore, there are two separate wings with unobstructed view of the central space. All the corridor spaces are singly roaded for cross ventilation. Semi-open spaces like balconies, veranda are used for daytime activities and also are protected from rainfall. This is the exploded view of the second floor. These are the plan and 3D image of the detailed room layout of elders. In a single unit at a time, 4 elders can live. They are also divided into two parts, giving the privacy to the users. These are the floor plans and 3D image of the children's room layout. Since the classroom and study rooms are provided separately, the residential unit does not accommodate study tables and separate spaces for study. This chart explains the various design elements that are used in the structure. Since the site is in warm and humid climatic zone, it is very important to minimize the high temperature during summer, avoid the direct exposure of the facades to solar radiation, to provide continuous air of circulation to reduce heat gain, and also to create the temperature difference between the inside and the outside. Therefore, various design elements are used to achieve the maximum human comfort. Firstly, to reduce the heat gain and minimize the facade exposure to the solar radiation, double facade system is used. That is, there are louvers present on the south as well as on the north facade of the structure. On the south side, since there is maximum heat gain, therefore louvers, horizontal louvers along the entire facade with a gap of 60 cm between the external facade and the louvers are provided. Since on the north there is not much of a heat gain, the north facade has a series of vertical louvers only on the first and the second floor. Also, the roof system is of double roof. Therefore, direct heat radiation to the structure is avoided by providing a secondary roof covering over the primary roof along with overhangs. Double roof with ventilated space in between acts as a heat buffer. Passive cooling by cross ventilation of all the spaces is provided. Also, there is a hierarchy of space of semi-open and closed spaces, which reduces the heat gain of the internal spaces. In this slide, the main concept of introverted planning is explained, which is very necessary to supervise everything. This continuous veranda is for the view and supervisions. It gives the visual connectivity from all sides, which is very important in such facilities. It's important from the security and the safety aspect of the users and also gives a homely feeling to the structure. Also, the circulation diagram explains the visitors' movement and vertical movement of the users. This zoning diagram explains the various spaces and their arrangement vertically as well as horizontally. This image explains the development of the form in the design process. This layer shows the zoning of vegetation, massing, human circulation, common areas, and vehicular circulation on site. Section AA- is cutting through the stilt area on the ground and residential units above. It precisely shows the vertical zoning of spaces as community space on the ground floor and private spaces on upper floor, and also the enclosure of roofed facade around the structure can be seen in these sections. Section BB- is cutting through the primary healthcare unit on the ground floor and shows its mezzanine floor on one side and the semi-open stilt area on the other side. Section CC- shows the profile of the ramp going from ground floor to second floor from a different perspective. Also, section DD- is cutting through the connecting bridge and hence the profile of the bridge can be seen. Here, east elevation is the main entrance of the project, therefore it's the front elevation showing the profile of exhibition space on left and dining space on the right, whereas west elevation shows the profile of the elevation of the connecting bridge along with lowered facades on its either sides. Also, view from stilt area along with the view of the amphitheatre and central courtyard are shown here. As discussed earlier, south facade elevation shows the horizontal louvers covering almost the entire structure in order to reduce the heat gain, and north facade shows vertical louvers only around the residential units on first and the second floor. These are some of the views of various spaces and one aerial view of the entire structure. Few more views of the structure. Now I will move on to the architectural representation drawings part. The soil condition on the site is Deccan trap soil with medium black and deep black soil. Therefore, suitable foundation system is isolated and combined footing. Structural system consists of fly ash bricks of light weight and filler slab technique is used to reduce the construction cost. These are the details of double facade system which I talked about. This diagram shows the hierarchy of spaces of semi-open, open and closed spaces along with the buffer zone which is created by the louvers. Also, the air movement through the louvered facade is shown which creates percolation for air and light, and some joinery details for the louvers. In this slide, there are few more joinery details between the louvers are shown. An importance of the double facade system and the double roof system in warm and humid climatic zone is explained. This diagram shows the cut section and elevation of the horizontal louvers on the south facade and the vertical louvers on the north facade along with the dimension of the openings and the louvers. These louvers actually act as a one-way communication for the users inside. This slide here explains the joinery details and plans and elevation of the connecting bridge. In the connecting bridge, along with the railings, there are long vertical posts that are attached to the bridge which encloses the space. These posts are connected via I-section, nut and bolts with base plates. Cross section of the bridge explains the inside of the space with respect to the human scale. This strip section along with double roof detail shows the connection between the primary RCC roof slab and the secondary roof covering with ventilated space in between. RCC roof has a series of truss members which connects the secondary roof to the primary roof, reducing the heat gain. The strip section is through the south facade, showing the cut profile of the louvered facade which is running throughout the face and the relation between the closed faces and the semi-open spaces. This cut section shows the filler slab details which are used in order to reduce the construction cost. Where the height of the spaces are more, the filler slab is provided with the suspended ceiling which is moisture resistant. For the multi-purpose hall, since it's a large columnless space, instead of filler slab, waffle slab is provided along with suspended acoustic panels for transmission of volume in such large space. Also, the flooring of the space is different. It has acoustic details which are necessary for such spaces. This is another strip section cutting through the north facade, explaining all the joineries and materials used. The diagram interprets the zoning and the location of the various services on the site. Since the site is in a rural context, there is no proper drainage line that is provided. Therefore, the drainage system on the proposed site consists of septic tank with filtration tank. The water filtered from the filtration tank can be used for landscaping. The wastewater from the toilets, bathrooms, and the kitchen is brought to the septic tank by a series of inspection chambers connected to each other. For electrical supply, the transformers and the generators are placed in the each side of the site towards the entrance, and from there it is supplied to the entire site. For water supply, similar to the neighboring communities, borewells are used from which the water is transmitted to the underground water tank, which is filtered and then supplied to the users. Along with the borewells, to recharge the groundwater level, recharge pits are provided. It's an attempt to achieve the complete cycle of water by taking the water from borewells and recharging the groundwater by recharge pits. This is the calculation of the total water requirement of this project and the total capacity of tank required to store the water. Also the average rainfall that can be collected, that is 297.18 millimeter, and the amount of water the rooftop rainwater harvesting can provide. I also calculated the total amount of wastewater that will be generated and the exact size of the septic tank that is necessary for this project, along with the soak pit calculation. Along with septic tank, there will be a filtration tank that is attached in order to filter the water and use it for gardening purpose. There is a flow diagram of the filtration process, and aerated wastewater treatment is used for the filtration process. Thank you.